Good evening, everyone. So, again, thank you all so much for being here tonight. I will start with a recap of the session. I hope most of you were able to see the replay. If not, it will be available on Disrupt Your DAO's YouTube channel. What we did cover is how your energy and emotions shape your reality. The image that you're seeing to the left, where it shows your thinking, feeling, acting, how your behaviors form your identity. There is a thought pattern that happens, and either positive or negative thoughts forms a cycle from the way that we think, feel, act, and that creates a behavior and it creates an identity. It just continues with a cycle. When you think about the common denominator or what can break that cycle is our thoughts. So by having positive thoughts, it really does shape our identity. Our energy and our emotions shape our reality also. There is a conditioning and a subconscious pattern control where 95% of our thoughts is running on the subconscious. I explained that. Our bodies are energetic, our hearts are a magnet, and I use the reference of us as walking power plants. What we're going to emphasize a little more is how modern technology is validating some of the ancient wisdom, in addition to showing some of the other tools. So between last week and now, if you can put it in the chat, if you did the exercise, that would be great. All right, Zawadi, you did. Who else? Okay, Shayna, I see that. Anyone else? Because I would like to ask someone if they would be willing to share what showed up. Is there anyone who would like to share? Hi, Shayna, go ahead.
Hi, thank you for the conversation. I enjoyed watching last session, and the way that trigger shows up inside of my body is I notice my heart begins to palpitate, and I could feel literal sensations and vibrations inside. Now, I noticed that this happened during a particular conversation, and it was on a topic that has come up before. And I felt similarly the last time the topic came up, but this time it was stronger. And so I'm noticing when I hold on to something, if I don't express it, it shows up stronger the next time. So it kind of builds. That is what I journaled inside of me. I also did express what I was feeling, not in the moment, because it doesn't always come out the way that I'd like it to. So I did take some time first because the person that I was speaking to is very important to me. And also the conversation was really important so that they can hear what I was saying without the tone of what I was feeling. The conversation actually went really well, but I noticed that it did take me some time to really understand what was happening first and then to get clear on how I wanted to proceed.
That's beautiful. What you did was exactly how the process works. I don't know how many of you drive, but imagine you driving, somebody cuts you off. They get you all angry, you get all excited. Now, what happens is you get out of the car, you reach wherever it is that you have to go. Now you start telling everybody around you about that situation. You start sharing, oh my gosh, do you know what happened? And you're still in this emotion, remembering the situation that happened where you were in that state of anger. And what happens is that you've brought that energy in another situation. And before you know it, it travels with you. Now, because you're operating at that vibrational frequency of whatever emotion you were feeling while you were, say, in the car, it now starts attracting more of that into your life, whether you like it or not. And then your whole day is messed up and you're like, oh my gosh, what the heck is happening? And it all starts because we weren't able to control what we were feeling in that moment. In addition, us holding on to it throughout the day. That escalates and continues into this cycle, and we don't even realize that it's happening over and over. Why I asked about excitement. It's easy for us to recognize when we get angry and when we have those emotions in our body. But is there anyone who can remember what the good feelings feels like? Did you do that exercise? And if so, would you like to share? Ryan, would you like to share or no?
I don't mind sharing.
I'll mute so you can speak.
You're asking me what were my excitements and how it made my body feel?
Yes.
I feel I can't really give a valid something that excited me because I am very open about my substance abuse issues. And I feel like it definitely changes the way I think and feel about exciting things. So exciting things don't excite me anymore, if that makes sense to anybody.
Understood. What happens is that anytime you're in an altered state, if you get a heightened emotion, either good or bad, it creates a notch in your brain. And this memory notch now, we are striving to get back to that level, either in a good or bad way. And we don't realize how our body craves it. And because of this, it's part of that cycle and that pattern. But being aware of it allows you to recognize what's happening in your body so that you can start realizing, okay, what was it that brought me to that state? And I'll use the example of drinking, right? I know in a lot of families and a lot of cultures, we associate having a good time with alcohol. And what happens is that it's like, here, take a drink. And sometimes we feel like the only way that we can have a good time is by having alcohol or something like that. It's because we don't even realize that we've brought on this association with a good time with alcohol, that that's the only way we can do it. When we start recognizing why we're doing this, then and only then can we start breaking the patterns of it. And I'm not a psychologist, I don't have that background. This is all based on the things that I've read, and I'm sharing from my own personal experience. Thank you for sharing, Ryan. When we can remember the feelings of good times, when we are in those negative states and we are feeling down, we have to start thinking about what it would feel like if we could get back to those positive times in our life. As we start recognizing these triggers and excitements, as you start jotting it down, you start recognizing the patterns. And when you start realizing what happens to your body, how you start feeling, just doing that exercise on yourself, you'll start noticing how your body is reacting. When Shayna was explaining just now, she said that her heart starts palpitating. I noticed once that starts happening, I know I cannot have a conversation with somebody, or I actually have to take a moment and breathe. And by breathing, we learn how to regulate our heart rate differently. And again, if we are not aware of what's happening in our body and our body starts reacting faster than we can, that's when those arguments happen. That's when those situations happen. So the moment we can start recognizing it, then and only then will we start being able to interrupt it. The whole reason for me sharing this and having you all do the exercise was the self-awareness and understanding that self-awareness is the first step to emotional regulation. The reality is, if you can't track it, you can't change it. And knowing where you are on a chart when you're in the feeling good state using the scale of consciousness, the only reason why I see this to be true is from some of the later slides when I show you the biofeedback. Part of the exercises I do in my workshop is I show you where you fall based on emotions. Your cortisol levels, the more angry you get in that heightened state, what happens is that it's actually draining your energy. As you're draining your energy, you're actually bringing down your immune system. As your immune system drops, you start feeling tired. When you hear someone say, oh my gosh, that person drains me, it's a real thing because you're actually getting so emotionally charged up by something that it's actually draining you. We say it, but it's a real physical thing that's happening to us. When you're in too much of a positive state, also, you're losing energy even with that. So to be on 10 all day long, that can drain you also. And to be at zero, where the sad face is all the time, it can drain you. If you stay at neutral, you don't even know where to go with that. But with this cortisol level, you have to be slightly more than above the neutral phase that's showing on the screen right here. By learning how to bring our energy to a state where it's in control, it's where we will start rejuvenating and replenishing ourselves even more. So there were some videos, and this is what we were having the technical difficulties with.
What is heart coherence? Heart coherence is a healthy, high-performance state, physically, emotionally, and mentally, that brings out the very best in us. The broader term coherence always implies harmonious order, connectedness, stability, and efficient use of energy. It can be seen all around us when we observe life through the lens of the heart. The beauty and intricate balance of nature is a magnificent demonstration of coherence. Increased coherence happens at times within the human experience too. For example, most of us have had days where everything seemed to flow. We felt good, composed, and clear. We were able to adapt quickly to whatever came our way with balance and poise. In the 1990s, HeartMath Institute researchers identified a physiological state called heart coherence, a type of coherence that occurs when our body's systems, such as our breathing, blood pressure, hormonal response, and heart rhythms, are in sync with each other. They also discovered heart coherence not only affected physical processes, but also our mental and emotional composure. Their research showed that heart coherence could be self-created, leading to less mental and emotional stress and more inner stability. In summary, heart coherence is a synchronized state, physically, emotionally, and mentally, that we can easily learn to bring into everyday life, allowing us to become our best selves.
Heart-brain coherence is a state of synchronization between the heart and the brain that leads to improved physical, emotional, and cognitive function. This phenomenon occurs when the heart's rhythm and the brain's neural activity align, creating a harmonious state within the body, where you're not feeling drained, you're not feeling too excited, but you're somewhere in a point where you can feel this level of gratitude. When we are in a state of gratitude, something happens within our heart, and it's the emotion generated that we are able to have this harmonious state that's shown here. On the left, this is me using the biofeedback device that I will show you, where I actually got myself extremely frustrated, and I used the monitor to check what was happening inside, and you can see that it's a very erratic pattern. When we start getting into arguments and the heart starts palpitating because we can feel it in our body, this is what's happening with our heart rate, and it's actually dropping our immune system, and we're draining ourselves unknowingly. The benefits that come when you are in a state of heart-brain coherence is an enhanced emotional well-being and stress reduction. You have improved cognitive function, including better decision making and increased creativity. In addition to increased physical energy and improved sleep quality, there's greater resilience and ability to adapt to challenges. There's also potential improvements in various health conditions and overall well-being. This is the science and validated evidence that organizations like HeartMath Institute has been researching for the past 30 years. I became HeartMath certified, and I learned their techniques, and I was able to deliver that to other people in coaching sessions and show them. Tonight, we actually have somebody on who has gone through my program, and I would love for her to share a little later. In achieving heart-brain coherence, it can be cultivated through various techniques. One is called heart-focused breathing exercises. There's mindful meditation and relaxation practices. And there's intentional activation of positive emotions such as appreciation or care. Our negative patterns creates that cycle and that loop, and we stay within this negative state. When we start emitting that frequency, we start drawing more of that into our space. It harms us in so many ways, not just in arguments with other people or just being angry and upset, but on a health basis also. I'm a very positive person. Positivity is not the only thing that's needed. You could say one thing, but if you're not feeling it emotionally, it still will harm you. Because we can say one thing, but our emotions can represent something else. There's sometimes where you say, oh yeah, I've forgiven that person. Or you've said it in a way where you're like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I've forgiven them. From me saying it like that, does anybody believe that I actually forgave somebody? If I use that energy and that emotion by me sharing that, I know in my heart I'm saying one thing, but again, it's out of alignment with what's actually happening within ourselves. The only way that you know you've let something go is because you have no charge associated in your voice and your tone. Then and only then will you know for sure that you have let something go. The emphasis of this entire presentation is that it's causing you more harm than anybody else. I say it's like you drinking poison and expecting somebody else to get sick. That's what happens when we hold on to past situations, anger, hurt, resentment, or anything like that. I hope that resonates. I would love to hear what people have to say. If you could put it in the chat, that would be great. I was going to show something from Dr. Joe Dispenza. It's a YouTube video, what they call the third eye when it comes to the chakras. They say that you activate your pineal gland. And the pineal gland is located at the center of the brain. It's often referred to as the third eye due to its role in perception, intuition, and altered state of consciousness.
The pineal gland has tiny little cilia, hair-like extensions all around it. When you hold your breath and you finally let your breath out and you allow that cerebrospinal fluid to accelerate, the acceleration of that cerebrospinal fluid begins to stimulate and tickle those little cilia. And as it begins to become stimulated, the pineal gland begins to release very sacred chemicals. And when you apply a mechanical stress and you begin to compress those crystals, the compression of those crystals begins to produce an external electromagnetic field. And now the brain goes into a super conscious, super aware state. And the brainwave patterns that are created are called gamma brainwave patterns. And gamma brainwave patterns are associated with super consciousness or super awareness. And that is the release of the Kundalini.
So what Dr. Joe teaches at his events, he teaches you how to contract the muscles within your stomach, in your breathing, by you raising your lower extremities in your body and holding and bringing that cerebral spinal fluid up to your spine. Through this meditation and breathing technique, it actually pushes a pressure against your pineal gland, and it's supposed to activate this radio receiver, is what releases a fluid inside of your brain, and it gets you into this altered state, which they call dimethyltryptamine, DMT. When people go and do ayahuasca, it's what gets within them. But what he teaches is that we have the ability to do this ourselves because it lives within us. With all of the external drugs and whatever else is out in the world, science has come a very far way. It can do this for us. The reality is when we learn how to take that control back, because we now know how to do it for ourselves, we can be in a euphoric state basically whenever we choose to. When I keep talking about the power lives within us, is that we have control over all of this and we don't even realize it at times. This method is backed by neuroscience and ancient practices, and it allows individuals to tap into higher states of consciousness, regulate emotions, and create profound physiological and energetic shifts in their bodies. After I attended Dr. Joe Dispenza's event, on the left here, I've had something called a muse for a long time. It was actually gifted to me in 2017. I was using it to track my meditation for a very long time. The way it worked, it would play birds. I just didn't like it. So I had put it down, but my last session was in September 2022. And if you look at it, you could see my calm state was at 24%. After I came back from Dr. Joe Dispenza's in-person event in May of 2023, what I read before, your body goes through a physiological experience and you don't know what's happening. I came home and I started feeling that on the last day of his event. And I said, oh my gosh, what is going on? I wasn't sure. I didn't know. So I pulled out the headband and I put it on my head and I started taking readings. It showed that it went to 98%. So I now was able to do what he was talking about to activate my pineal gland. And that's part of what really sent me down this trajectory of learning, trying to understand what was happening within me, because this wasn't lying. I knew what I was feeling and I said, wait a second, what is going on here? Eventually, I moved to HeartMath and I ended up getting their device. I purchased theirs. It's called the Inner Balance Coherence Plus HeartMath app. And the difference between the Muse and this one is that this one actually gives you coherence. And when I was explaining on the other slide, when your heart and brain is able to synchronize and get into a state where it's actually talking to each other in a very harmonious state, what happens is that you go into coherence. And that happens when you are showing that level of gratitude and appreciation. You are breathing, but you slow down your heart rate and you get to this state. My highest score was 2.1 on that first day. And by the end of the year, this one was done on December 30th, 2024. I've used it religiously. I do it every night before I go to sleep, and I use it in the morning when I wake up to really see where I'm at. I went to a 9.4. These images are actually in my book, and I called the people from HeartMath because I wanted to include it in my book. They told me that sometimes the most average that people experience is on a level 3. I didn't even know how high the app can go because for a long time I was really in that same lower state. But practice makes perfect. By being able to track your results and knowing that there are tools out there that can help you, it's good to know. For me, it's a personal thing. I'm just letting you know that it has helped me in different ways by doing this myself. Someone asked last week, what were some of the miracles that I've engineered? And these are the things that started happening after I mentioned that I had a financial pause when I started working on my book. I felt like it was the universe telling me, you know what? This is the only way you're going to be able to sit down and write this book. Because if you're making money, you're probably going to be too busy working on other things. And you might be out and about traveling and you're not focusing on the things that you said that you're going to do. Since December, these were the things that happened. I got a pre-order of 100 copies of the book. Once I put it out there and let people know that I was writing the book, that came in and that blew me away. I was able to publish the book on January 1st. I became HeartMath certified. I landed my second largest project just this month. I do group and one-on-one coachings. I just got asked to do this for 40 plus businesses within architecture, engineering, and construction. I got asked to do 3 speaking engagements in less than a month. And I did an open mic. Last night was my graduation. And at one point, I forgot some lines, but one of my classmates jogged my memory and I was able to recover on stage. And right now, what I'm working on is relaunching my podcast and I'm preparing for a TEDx. So these are just some of the things that have happened in my life since I've been really getting in coherence with my word, in alignment with the things that I said that I'm going to do, and it happening. This is just my results. Everyone else's results can differ in their own way, but I'm just showing you the benefits of intentionality. At this point, I would like Lisa to share what she's got out of working with me. I am creating a workshop. The last ones that I've done was 8 weeks, and I'm looking to condense it into 4 weeks. I don't have a scheduled date yet, but I have a QR code for those who are interested in signing up. I really want it to be an application process. I find that when people just sign up for things, they sometimes don't follow through on it. I really want people to get clear on their goals when they are coming into this because it requires work. It's being very intentional. Lisa, I'll let you share your story.
We met for a gathering for the Journey to Wealth group, and we were sitting waiting for everyone to meet at BBQs. And I don't even remember how the conversation came up about Joe Dispenza. Somehow we started talking about that. And then Anne Marie told me about her program. I just lit up. I said, what? Oh my gosh, because sometimes not everyone is aware of Joe Dispenza or that type of work. I'm really into self-growth and self-healing, especially with my history in the past with cancer. And everything she said made me feel like, okay, wow, this is an opportunity I can't let get by me. Working with Anne Marie, I was intimidated, and only because of my own insecurities. It was just being fearful of being vulnerable. And also when you admire someone, because not for nothing, she has a strong personality. And she has her stuff together. I mean, she's writing a book. I'm like, oh my gosh, and she sees the mess I have going on. She's so in tune with what she's doing. She called me out, and that's what I really needed. There were things I would say. I would always start off, oh, this is going to sound crazy. She goes, okay, stop right there. Stop right there. And everything about affirmations and how you talk to yourself, just thinking about the words that are coming out of your mouth and in the thoughts in your mind. It was so insightful. And the website She gives you assignments, and I'm a person that I definitely need some kind of structure because then I fall off. And at times I did fall off with the sheets and the assignments because of work and other things. But the one thing that I did try my best, well, no, I did dedicate, I didn't try, I dedicated myself, was to journal. At that point, I let it all out. I didn't hold back. I acted like she wasn't going to read it. It was an option. You can share it or not share it. I said, no, I need her to read this because I need honest feedback. I need that to help me so that I can get some insight from someone else. Her ability to be so raw and honest, it really helped me. Recently, we came through a breakthrough because she noticed something. Oh, the funniest part though was when it was ending, I had to make my meeting for our final wrap up, and I kept postponing it. And she was like, "You haven't made your meeting." I was like, "I don't want it to end. It's like a breakup." I'm like, "I don't want it to end yet." I kept changing the meeting. I don't want it to end. But then we talked, and then recently we talked again and we followed up, and she pointed out something to me and helped me in such a way that gave me so much insight and confidence in myself that what I want for myself isn't a dream. It's a reality that I can make happen. And she sat there with me and she's like, okay, well, let's figure this out. We're going to make a plan and I'm going to hold you accountable. And I'm like, oh boy. And it was exciting and nerve wracking because you know that ego that says, oh, no, no, go that way. Go back to your old ways. This is not, we're not doing that. That's not going to work. But then I always hear her saying, nope, no negativity. Like even when I speak to her, I like it. Or if I see her, because I remember, nope, don't say that. And I still have my moments where this rage comes out. Sometimes I don't catch it, but a lot of the times I do, or I'll walk away and I'll just take a few deep breaths. And I always remember I have an issue sometimes with confrontation with my boss and other things like that. But I always remember what she tells me, what are you talking about? They're human. Don't give them power. Just do it, get it out of the way. And I remember that, like, even if I have to take a step back, I'll tell myself, what can they do? No one's going to die. Like, it, just face it, get it out of the way, and then move on. Oh, and by the way, Anne-Marie, I wanted to show you. It came. The book. I got it. I started it.
There was a lot of anxiety that would show up. And when she started really getting clear of what she felt and what excited her, it was the first time that I saw how excited she was. And I made her really get into that emotion. And now everything that she does, we go back to remembering what that feeling feels like. Because part of the formula is that you have to get into a state of you feeling as though everything that you ever wanted is already complete. Now, using that information, reverse engineering in a way, what are the things that we know has to happen in order to make that done? That's the plan I was able to help her with, a customized plan for herself. She now has a roadmap and she has things, not that I'm telling her to do, that she said that she wants for herself. So now she knows what she has to do and she will hold herself accountable. Because my job as a coach, I want to empower you. I think the only way that people will make a change is they have to do something that matters to them. Why I don't believe sometimes in a one size fits all. It is customizable. That's why when I work with people, I want them to be committed. I said, you better be hungry for this. Because if you're not hungry for change, you're not going to do it. So that was kind of the essence of where the intimidation that she talks about comes in. But again, sometimes you need to get jolted like that where you will remember it. Because if somebody is just coddling you all the time, oh, it's okay, don't worry, that's needed sometimes. But sometimes you need the no, like you have to remember this so that anytime it shows up, you don't do it again. That's just a little background and insight. Thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate you. I've seen how far you've come. And I asked her, have you gotten this out of therapy? She can tell you herself. She said no. And I said, well, I'm glad that I was able to help in a different way. I don't tell anyone to stop their therapy. I think everything is needed. I think everybody brings something different no matter what is going on.
There is a question in the chat for you, Emery, if you want to answer that. Robert asked, does too much fluoride calcify your pineal gland, if you know?
I've heard that. And this is something that I wouldn't even ask ChatGPT. I would ask Perplexity, because Perplexity is a different AI platform that does more fact checking. I'm not sure, but I know that if you don't use something, you lose it. And we've been taught for so long on how not to use this. The reality is, now that we know and this information is coming to us, what are we going to do about it? We could know everything, but if we don't put it into action, it can only do so much. What I do share in the book is the framework: awareness, letting go, intention, growth, and new reality. Right now, we're at the awareness state. Everything that I've shared tonight is really for an awareness. Us recognizing when we get angry and upset, how that shows up and how that feels in our body. The more we track it, the more we're going to be able to notice it, and we can catch it on a different level. As we're able to now breathe and take a step back, this is where you need somebody there to help you catch it and to recognize. Because not only when Lisa was jotting down certain things and looking at the patterns, she could do that on her own, but it was really pointing out certain things. When you have somebody who's coaching you along the way, that's what helps. Then we have to learn how to let it go, because we could say, yeah, I forgive him. For a long time, I used to say, oh yeah, I forgive my ex-husband, that asshole. That is not me really letting it go. There's still a charge there. I know now that I have no charge around that. I really do wish everyone well, because I've come to realize that whatever we give out as a gift to humanity is what comes back to us. And if we can really get clear on that, I am telling you, you will be able to breathe in a different way, and you will be able to get into that state of coherence much better. Because now, when you are breathing and you are focused on your heart and you doing this heart-centered breathing, you are getting your body in a state of gratitude and appreciation. And then and only then are you really channeling, you're activating those antennas within your third eye, so that you can become the radio receiver, so that the energy comes and flows through you. I am going to stop at this point, and I'm going to ask anyone if they have questions or would like to share.
When are you offering your 4-week course? When is that coming up?
When I do select a date, I want to make sure that it is not affect the other programs that are going. I want to really get people who are hungry for this. With everyone I coached last year, it has been 100% success rate. And that warms my heart in so many ways. I feel like other people will be able to share your message more when they get something out of it, versus you trying to force somebody. In filling out this form, it's going to make me help you in a very unique way. I mix HeartMath techniques for coherence, in addition to an engineering perspective and knowing how to put that in a very systematized way. I use AI, I use different ways where it really is catered to the individual. If there aren't any questions, I will let you take over, Zawadi, and I will mute myself.
So I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is a great follow-up to session 1, and even more powerful. I think everybody can see the slide now that says apply for a discovery call with the QR code.
Yes.
If you
If you
haven't,
scan the QR code, you'll get an application to fill out.
thank you, Robin. So you can do that. You can point your camera to the QR code now. Also, as you see on the slide, Engineered Miracles, Anne-Marie's book, and that link has been dropped in the chat probably twice. So make sure you capture that. And Shayna, I'm just going to ask you to read if there are any questions in the chat.
Copy. Thank you. Anne-Marie did get a chance to answer questions during the session. So no questions, but just some residuals of the comments made tonight with some of the prompting that Anne-Marie did. Vashta did share that she did have an experience that felt so bad that she felt like she had the flu and sent her to bed. That was specific when we were talking about energy draining and being around things that are energy vampires, may it be people, places, things, or just the thoughts that live within us. We appreciated Anne-Marie even being mindful about approaching the technical difficulties with kindness. It just shows the consciousness around the work. So appreciate that. We did have some comments around Joe Dispenza. So that's someone that the community is aware of for the most part. I could also say that his work is excellent and helpful. And Anne-Marie, one question is, do you happen to be affiliated with any of the apps that you spoke about tonight?
I would be able to get a group discount if I was to make a large purchase for the inner balance. It connects to your ear. And when it connects to your ear, then you use the app. It gives you direction where you can breathe and monitor that way. It does require a subscription fee. It's really how dedicated you are to yourself. I saw that this one wasn't just monitoring calmness, this was for coherence. And I really wanted that.
Thank you for sharing that, y'all. If you're interested in using the Inner Balance app, we have a slide coming up very shortly. Just make sure you stay connected so that we can take advantage of that group discount. If there's enough people, we might as well, right? So we're in community. We get to stay connected with Anne-Marie as well. And then other residuals was just a big and a huge thanks for this conversation, Anne-Marie. We really appreciate it. It was very helpful.
Thank you
So-
so much.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm loving a line that's really great. Awareness, letting go, intention, growth, and new reality. Those are steps that I can absolutely align with. I will just say this. I did do the exercise and I had plenty of outbursts of things that I'd wanted to say in the past, but did not. So yeah, I got work to do.
I mean, recognizing how that's showing up in the body is important because we don't want to suppress something. We want to get to the root of it and get to what caused it. That's really where the work comes in. Because just suppressing it, you're still holding on to a level of resentment, and that too is unhealthy. Learning how to let it go is a process. Awareness is a process within itself. Getting real clear on your intention, it's an entire process within itself. This is why I wanted to write the book about it, because I know all of the steps that I took for myself and how much work that was put in on my side. It took a lot out of me to get to those points where I say I can engineer miracles in my life, but it requires a commitment. It requires a commitment.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, next for the Dow. Wellness Wednesday is every Wednesday at 7:30. Next week, we have Passage to Joy, Disrupting Depression, another powerful topic. And I'm going to skip the week after that, March 26th, is Seasonal Wellness, Unlocking the Secrets to Longevity and Vitality. And now I'm going to go back to March 25th. We have a Web3 series coming up. It'll be in the next slide. On the 25th is the first of a series of 4, Redefining Work, Wealth, and Innovation. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com, and our handle is @DisruptorDAO. This is the slide I mentioned for the 4-part series coming up beginning on the 25th. And one of our co-founders, Melanie Brown, will be doing this workshop. So you are now on our list. I'm going to come back to this slide because this next one is the most important. Please join our Telegram community. The first place we put part 1 of this video was in the Telegram community. Click on the QR code. It will invite you to join Telegram. And Telegram is an app that you'll be able to talk to people. If you can't grab the QR code, it's bit.ly/disruptor tribe. Tribe is all caps and the D is capitalized as well. And with bit.ly, you must put the wording in exactly how it's shown on the screen. But we have other people that are part of our community dropping information, talking about things that they're doing related to Web3, related to technology. So yeah, it's a fun place to be. And let me go back to our merch. I talked about I showed a bit of our affirmation and mindset prompt deck. So it's there in the lower right-hand corner. We have our mindset and affirmation journal. We produce that so you can capture your thoughts. You can scan the QR code once again. As we say, buy the set as a gift. And that is on our Etsy site. Once again, we say thank you. We are happy that you joined us. I see that we have guests from as far as Cuba and Trinidad. We thank you for joining us. We are a worldwide hood.
I will do my best to link the videos that we couldn't get to share tonight.
Our community, we thank you for attending. Have a great night.